Okay, brief recap. So, I guess this is just gonna be a Cliff Notes version. If you want to know everything that happened, go back and watch my original videos about this. I made a few, one in which I went over the document Fedmyster released, and a couple in which I went over the reaction to the drama from the quartering and Keemstar. You'll get way more context there, but I'm just gonna do a quick Cliff Notes version of the drama, and then we'll get right into the new documents that were released. So, Offline TV is a streamer group consisting of people such as Michael Reeves, Lily Pichu, Yvonne, ex-Fedmyster, and Pokimane. It's a streamer group. They all lived in the same house together as roommates. Big old nice house. They all stream together, all that kind of shit. Pokimane, as you all know, being the most popular female streamer of all time, at least in the English-speaking world, gets a lot of shit because gamers hate women. It's been a long time thing where a lot of people pick apart little things that she's done to try to shit on her for it. She's done some actually bad things, but she definitely got an undeserved amount of hate simply for the fact that, there's a very well known among, psychologists, there's a bias that a lot of dudes have to sort of be a bit less charitable to women when they do things and more charitable to men when they do it. It's usually guys who typically perpetuate this. This isn't a debatable thing. This has been well researched and is well understood among academics. If you argue against this, you're arguing against an academic consensus. So if I see anybody in the comments trying to argue against that, you can come on stream, you can debate me about it. I'll happily debate you over it, and I'll blow you the fuck out. But with that said, what ended up happening was Fedmyster, one of the male members of the Offline TV house, had a tendency to go into the rooms of two of the women that were there, Yvonne and Lily Pichu, and do some inappropriate stuff, particularly with Yvonne. He would go into Yvonne's room when he was drunk, and he would get into bed with her without her permission and, spoon her, and then in some occasions he, put his hand up her sleeve and kind of, in one of the accusations, he put his hand up her sleeve and then put his hand here, above her boob, on her side above her boob or whatever. Very cringe. Another case, he did that and he kissed her hand, and then he would pretend like he didn't remember it the next day, then bring it up the next evening and then repeat the behavior even after talking about it and him apologizing for it. This was repeated behavior. He did similar stuff with Lily Pichu, but the most damning one, I believe, was getting into her bed when she was drunk, asking her if she wanted a leg massage, because I guess she had just walked home from partying and having some drinks, and then she said, yes, you can massage my leg, but then he kind of went a little bit too high up the thigh. He went up to around here, massaging her leg just a little bit sus, and then Lily Pichu gave him consent to do this under the impression that they were just friends, completely platonic, nothing weird going on. And then later he told her that he was into her, and she felt very uncomfortable with the fact that he had done that, because clearly now in hindsight she knew that there was something definitely sexual about it and it wasn't just a friend giving a massage. And he would repeat this kind of behavior, and eventually Yvonne and Lily came out with twitlongers explaining what happened with their accusations. Fed was kicked from the group. The reason why they decided to make it public was because they had an intervention in which they explained to Fed this wasn't okay, and Fed's behavior continued, and he was not quite apologetic enough and self-reflectionary, or whatever the word would be, enough to validate him staying around. So, pretty shitty. Now, Yvonne and Lily got a lot of shit after these accusations came out, because dudes on the internet, they were getting a lot of shit, and they were feeling very pressured to delete their accusations and retract them. Now, thankfully, Pokimane came out with a video. She has a much larger reach than all of them. Came out with a video backing them up, but she included a few other accusations that weren't really included in the original Me Too outings of Fed, including things along the lines of Fed would endlessly trash talk Pokimane to their friends and try to turn friends against her, that he would go to guys, particularly this one guy at a certain party that she was into, and tell them that there was a thing between them. She claimed that there was no relationship between the two of them, and, just a few extra things that and that also he tried to get Yvonne fired. He would shit talk Yvonne to everybody and try to get her fired because she wasn't doing her job. Now, a couple days ago, a document leaked. And Destiny covered it on stream, and I read it on stream as well. The document was from Fedmyster and included a ton of screenshots, and the document basically amounted to, oh, actually, he seemed to have substantiated it quite well. That's not true. The shit Pokimane said was untrue. As a matter of fact, what actually happened was Pokimane wanted Yvonne fired. There was a relationship between the two of them, and she led him on for years. And on top of that, there was stuff going on between them. And the dudes that he would tell, that Poki was into, that he would tell there was something going on between them, were dudes who asked if there was something going on between them. And he would say, yeah, there's kind of something going on, just don't talk about it. Because Poki and him were under an agreement to keep the relationship under wraps. That was overall the summary of Fed's document. But Pokimane ended up doing a live stream responding to it. Terrible live stream. She shouldn't have done it. Her response was terrible in that live stream. Nobody is denying that. But she did just come out with her own document, which she posted on her alt Twitter, Iman. And here it is. We're going to read it. It's not too long. It's 11 pages. I hate reading so much. Let's just fucking do it, dude. Let's just get right into it. Let's just jump right into it. Intro. I've talked about my experience with Fed in the past, and I'm very disappointed that leaked and misleading messages have made it necessary for me to respond once again. I feel forced to share my side of the story, now with evidence and context, to hopefully close this chapter once and for all. Knowing how much it hurts to have private conversations leaked, I didn't want it to have to come to sharing more info that is also private to Fed and my friends involved. Out of respect to their privacy, I'll only be talking about some of the things that were already shared and what my friends are comfortable with. I want to clarify something really quick before we get to Fed's document. At no point in the Fedmyster document did Fed ever deny the accusations made by Lily and Yvonne. He has long ago, and to this day, I'm pretty sure, accepted those accusations. He did those things. He didn't argue against them. He did those things, and it's very important to remember that, what Fed did to Lily and Yvonne is not changed whatsoever by the Poki drama. Even if everything Poki did was terrible, doesn't change the fact that Fed also did bad shit. You can have two people be bad at the same time. It's just, that's how it works. But a ton of fucking gamer bros took advantage of this, like Keemstar and the Quartering, to try to argue that what Fed did wasn't that bad. Or wasn't even bad at all in the case of Keemstar. The leak. I found out about this document weeks ago because one of Fed's viewers DM'd one of the offline TV members with a link to it, technically a prior version of it. There was no update at the bottom / certain private texts were not in the document I saw. I was horrified that a viewer of his had such private messages of mine, and I immediately contacted Fed. We spent a couple days talking things through and coming to an understanding on how to handle things. I also informed him how the document was shared with me, so he was well aware of the specific reason, the specific person who was doing this. Over the next few weeks, I would have my close friends and other streamers message me and tell me that they were also sent the document, sometimes from Fed, sometimes from Fed's viewers. Every time my privacy was further violated, I would tell Fed, and he would tell me he'd speak to his viewer and have the Google Docs deleted. It kept happening multiple times afterwards, making it hard for me to believe that he didn't want this to be shared. Yvonne and OTV. This is going to be her acknowledging the accusation that she wanted Yvonne fired. Why are people pinging me? Stop it. I'd like to give context to the messages he included of me talking about Yvonne, since the leaked document attempts to imply that I was plotting against her when this was not the case at all. I'm really disappointed that he would try to publicly pit us against each other, especially since he knows us personally and the reality of the situation. On top of that, on top of what he's already put Yvonne through. The situation is also heavily impacted by the fact that Fed touched Yvonne inappropriately, which is something that OTV members weren't fully aware of until later. Please keep this in mind when reading the screenshots involving other House members, because they didn't know and have done everything in their power to help Yvonne since they found out. Because I was so close to Fed, he would rant or vent about me, fucking hell. He would rant or vent to me about others a lot. Yvonne was a sore topic for him, where he would continuously complain about her. He would complain that he was taking on her workload and that she would deny his attempts to get her to do work on OTV and stream instead. I look back at this now, and no one can blame Yvonne for wanting to avoid him, but no one knew what Fed did at the time. I've included an example of this below. So, a little context here. Fed was sexually harassing Yvonne. Yvonne was not exactly happy being around the guy who'd done so. And so, yeah, she was slacking on a lot of her responsibilities because, fuck, she was being sexually harassed. She couldn't even feel comfortable in her own house, her own bed, because at any moment, Fed could just come in and fucking spoon her and fucking try to cop a feel, you know what I'm saying? My stomach is rumbling so much, holy shit. Fed. Oh, so these are messages between Pokey and Fed. The blue ones are Pokey, and the gray ones are from Fed. And these came before, by the way, May 25th, 2019. These came before the messages that were claiming what's his name? All the messages claiming that like Pokimane was trying to get Yvonne fired. This is what came first. Goes into Yvonne's room. Yo, let's think of a prank/content ideas since Lily and Albie are out. Immediately gets into a game of League. Smile. I leave and she says, hey, you gonna think of something, right? Yeah. Tell her what you think. All right. I'll do that now. Wow, I was surprised. I asked her when her game was done if she could come upstairs and brainstorm OTV stuff. She gave me this face. I want to keep playing. I gave her a strong stare, then just walked out. I don't know. I'm whiteboarding shit. Sad face. I'll join you when I get kicked. You should tell her it's kind of part of her job, though. So this is basically them discussing like ideas for OTV and Yvonne not wanting to leave the game that she's in. To Hungry's Inner Hall, very hungry, and not wanting to leave the game that she's in and continue playing and streaming. You know I hate confrontation. It's fine, though. When you think about it, I don't realistically think she can contribute much, but it's nice to have a human around. So basically what he's arguing right now is he doesn't want to confront Yvonne and tell her, hey, you need to come up here. We need to brainstorm shit because he's afraid of confrontation. And then saying she can't realistically contribute much to ideas and that it's just nice having her there. These texts were from May 25th, 2019, whereas Fed has shared screenshots of things I parroted about Yvonne months later on October 5th, 2019. I was not the only person that Fed would vent to about Yvonne, though. I repeatedly heard the same thing from him throughout those months. He would also go to other house members to complain multiple times over, which ultimately led to the point of OTV having a meeting to discuss everything. The below texts were after the meeting and showcased this topic stemmed from Fed bringing up the issues about Yvonne. Lol, I talked to Toast before the meeting, and we agreed that we should only bring up the Yvonne thing if we really considered a new third roommate, but I'm kind of glad. So this is him like outright saying like, hey, if we consider like a new third roommate, like we'll replace Yvonne, we'll fire her, kick her out, and get a new person. And then Pokey. Oh, I didn't know. Plus, it kind of came up in an okay way, I think. You guys segmented into that. My bad. Yeah. Oh, no. I'm actually glad. I was like, why isn't Fed bringing it up, lol? Yeah, haha. It was probably better this way, TBH. If it came from me, she would feel, I don't know, different because of our relationship. But all good. Cat's out of the bag. Makes sense. It did come up pretty organically. I was surprised Skara had so much to say. I think I talked about it with Skara the most out of everyone. Whoa, I had no clue. So this is proof that, like, Fed was talking to everybody about, like everybody about how bad Yvonne was, apparently. Like how Yvonne wasn't keeping up with her duties and whatnot, which she wasn't doing because she was sexually harassed by Fed and was in a bad emotional state. I think I talked with Scar about it the most out of everyone. He complained to other OTV members about Yvonne, so little clarification there. As you can see, there were also other members of OTV that were speaking up on behalf of Fed, and it was genuinely because we were under the impression from Fed that there was a problem that needed fixing. At this point in time, no one else in the OTV house had the context that Fed had touched her inappropriately. There was also a different set of texts which show my concern for the lack of work being put into OTV during the beginning of quarantine. At that time, everyone in the house, including Fed, content lead, and Yvonne, house manager, was very focused on streaming, and I was worried OTV was being left on the back burner. To contextualize my concerns, OTV has a history of hiring core employees that later become content creators like Fed, Pekka, Edison, etc. And I'm genuinely happy for the people who are inspired to create content and are successful. For the overall sake of the OTV company, there are very important roles that need dedication in order for the overall group to function and be consistent. This is why I was worried this issue would repeat itself to the point Yvonne would no longer want to work at OTV. In Fed's document, he claims he told me what happened between them, but Fed also told Yvonne, and Yvonne shared this in her statement and Dr. K talk, that he didn't remember what happened. I want to make it clear that I did not have full awareness of what Fed did to Yvonne during any of the text/incidents shown. It was briefly mentioned to me in late 2019, first by Yvonne, then by Fed, and there was an uncomfortable incident that happened between them, but no details were shared with me. I had no clue of the severity or extent of the situation until much later. I learned of the full situation when she publicly spoke to Dr. K and previously in the heartfelt talk with our girlfriends. So Dr. K is a streamer. He's a Harvard psychologist. He brings streamers and viewers on to talk about like their feelings and their upbringing and stuff like that. And Yvonne went on there and described what happened to Dr. K. Dr. K is a super cool dude. He's Healthy Gamer GG on YouTube. In my initial stream discussing Fed, I was extremely frustrated because I had just found out what fully happened to Yvonne, and to think back at the times he complained to me about her and I blindly believed him made me livid. The same complaints that almost caused her to be let go from OTV. Even more so than that, I am frustrated with myself for not speaking to Yvonne and understanding her earlier. Given the context that I have now of what Fed had done to her, of course I would have never said those things or wanted her fired. Anyone in her position would have reacted the same way in an attempt to avoid someone who has touched them inappropriately. Since then, Yvonne and I have talked in private about what I've said and came into a relieving understanding after an apology from my end. I regret the added stress we put her through. I'm so sorry to both Yvonne and anyone who read my messages with Fed that they have questioned her or her work ethic. I hired Yvonne to work with me back in 2018, knowing that she was smart, thoughtful, and an overall pleasure to work with. I then personally recommended her for an in-house position at OTV and was looking forward to working with her in person. She has grown into her role at OTV as a content creator as well, and I'm really grateful for her and everything she's done for us. So, to summarize, Fed had a tendency to trash talk and vent about Yvonne to everybody, particularly Pokimane and Skara, because Skara and Fed, as well as Pokimane and Fed, were very, very close friends. So he would basically vent about them constantly. Now, Pokey and everyone else did not know what was going on with Yvonne and Fed. They did not know why Yvonne was doing what she was doing. All they knew was that she wasn't doing the work that needed to get done, and something had to be done. OTV was going to die. There are certain tasks that need to be completed for OTV, the streamer group, to function. And so this was like an issue, obviously, but nobody knew why she was acting in that way. So the bits of Pokimane trash talking Yvonne or whatever, this came essentially from what Fed said about her. So yeah. Fed was my closest friend for a long time during the OTV Taiwan trip in February 2018. We became closer and considered pursuing a relationship. This is where a lot of the flirty texts shown in Fed's document are from. A couple months later, after he visited me in Canada and when we traveled back home together, I told him I didn't want to be more than friends, around May 2018. Weeks later, OTV held a party where I expressed interest in meeting a specific person, later referred to as Steve. After the party, Steve confided in me that Fed told him that Fed and I currently had a thing, and asked Steve not to tell anyone. This really upset me and felt like a massive breach of trust, especially since it happened after I told Fed that I only wanted to be friends. I confronted Fed about this immediately, and he apologized. Also, prior to my stream where I spoke about Yvonne and Lily's situations with Fed, I messaged him to give him a heads up, and he specifically asked me not to bring it up to the public. He also admitted this was a mistake when speaking to my best friend Janet after the intervention. So this is referring to what Fed said to that guy that she really wanted to get with, and during that party. Thanks, I really appreciate that. Is there anything that you would really want me to leave out? I don't know if I can accommodate, but I also don't want to make things terribly difficult for you. I won't mention the super personal details, mainly some lies and instances where people felt manipulated. If you can find it in you to leave out telling that you and I were a thing, it's something I would just not like mention, but I understand if not. Otherwise, I trust you, and I think that's best for Lily and Yvonne's comfort. And it's the right play. I'm sorry I can't leave that out because it's the best/easiest example I can give of you lying. It cuts off a little bit there, but, you know, they're actually discussing the fact that he lied, and they were going back and forth here. This is a message between I believe, Pokey and Janet. Janet being the one of the people that Fed would vent to. And this is in reference to the Steve guy, that Pokey was going after, and that Fed supposedly told that there was something going on between the two of them when there wasn't. Hi, Fed. Yeah, a little bit. I don't know the details, but there was an intervention. How are you doing? And he said, well, pretty bad. Got him in to talk. I can give you all the details. So then we called, and he told me about what I thought was everything. He told me about him and the Steve situation with you. He admitted to Janet that he lied to Steve. He said he lied a lot. And here's proof. These conversations happen on the same day. Janet is a streamer named X Chocobars. Pretty big streamer. Yeah. So, yeah. He did lie. He did lie about there being a relationship or anything going on between Pokey and Fed to that guy at the party that Pokey was into. This is why it's so difficult for me to believe him when he's just now, years after the incident and months after it became public, attempts to deny it. Fed has been known to be a serial flirt. This was brought up several times in an intervention we held for Fed, where several girls in our close friend circle spoke on situations where he'd crossed boundaries or made them uncomfortable. The girls in the intervention were all okay with this info being shared. For a long time, we all thought his flirtatious tendencies were just an innocent and natural part of who he was. I admit and take responsibility for the times that I later reciprocated in the ways in which this could have complicated our friendship. I would also constantly hear of the ways in which he flirted with other girls and his ships. So basically people would ship them as like a joke and he would like play into it and flirt with them. And often saw it on his streams as well, which made any reciprocations feel casual and insignificant. It may have been naive, but it was far from how he's attempting to betray me. So the way he's portrayed her as though she's like this evil mastermind who's leading him on, when in reality, he was actively flirting with other women. And it seemed like they had, if anything, like a friends with benefits thing going on. And Fed wasn't actually serious about pursuing a relationship, at least from her perspective. By the way, even if she had led him on for years, it doesn't make her a terrible person. Lots of people have led people on. Guys lead people on. Women lead people on. This is not like a fucking terrible thing from Pokey's character, by the way. It's shitty, but it's not like what really, really got me upset was the fact that she lied about leading him on, or seemingly lied about it, and the Yvonne thing. I tried to be transparent about who I was seeing in a conscious effort to be open and not to lead him on, which I now realize struck Fed as hurtful. I understand it must be tough to move on from someone you live with, but I figured it was better that I was upfront and to hear it directly from me instead of hiding it, especially since I would frequently hear of and witness him flirting with and pursuing other girls, even my close friends. Fed also had a habit of sleeping in the girls' beds, Lily's, Yvonne's, and mine. OTV viewers might remember this because it was something we all spoke of as an odd habit, and we thought the sleepovers were strange but harmless and just for fun. Fed clearly enjoyed the comfort and intimacy he would find in his relationships with many girls, and I was no exception. Unfortunately, he also had a habit of pushing that boundary, and not only with me, but with other girls as well, which was difficult for us to properly manage while considering the larger friendship circle and dynamic. Our friendship was complicated and confusing, and there were times we unintentionally hurt each other. Would it have been possible to cut things off completely? Fed was my closest friend at the time, my roommate, my coworker, talented OTV. Anytime I tried to reinforce that, I just wanted to be friends. We were always in the same vicinity and would attempt to flirt and push the boundary again. So she then goes on. I'm not going to read every little bit because we've got 2 documents to cover and my stomach is actually burning from how hungry I am. So she goes on to talk about a bit of evidence that was used to support the idea that Pokey and Fed were canoodling. Well after Pokey apparently came out to Fed and said, I'm not interested in a relationship. Also, Lonnie, I am actually sweating my ass off. Could you please turn the AC down? I am like literally drenched in sweat right now. Like, look at my armpits. Can you see it? Actually, no, you can't really see the stains. This is actually a good shirt. No, I'm like actually like my shirt's stuck to me. I'm sweating my fucking ass off. So she then shows a screenshot that Fed included in his document. And Fed used this to try to support the idea that Fed and Pokey were still doing stuff well after Pokey had essentially said no more stuff. I'm not interested in you. So we're going to read the initial one, and then we're going to look at like the rest of it, okay? And we'll see how it sounds. Okay, so we got a hotel, but I can stay in yours, but also I can stay in mine because, you know, winky faces. If you don't respond, then I'm going to go to mine. Mine, smiley face. You sure? I really want to give you the freedom to do what you want, smiley faces. It's no worries. We have 2 beds at the other room. Yes. Beg for me to stay with you? I joke. KK, I'll come if you're sure. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, say it again. Yes, please, stay with me. Sounds really flirty on its own, but as it turns out, this happened during a trip to Vegas that happened back in, I believe, 2018. 2018, December. And what had actually happened was Pokey, Yvonne, Lily, and Fed all went to stay at a hotel together in Vegas, and they got different rooms. Fed had a larger room with a larger bed, while the girls got a smaller room with smaller beds. And essentially, Pokey was offering like, hey, I can stay in your room if you want, and we can like split up. Or, hey, listen, if you're going to have a girl over or anything like that, you can have the room all to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, just in case you want to get out there, hunt some poon, you know what I'm saying? That was essentially what she goes into detail here in this document. And then she clarifies with the same screenshot, giving context to what was being said here. And it actually makes way more sense in this context when you consider the fact that, but I can stay in my room because, then winky faces? What? That's not like flirty when you know the context, right? Why would she be giving flirty faces about saying I can stay in my room? It would make more sense if she said, but I can stay in your room because then flirty faces, then we would have something going on here. But that doesn't really make much sense. So you can see here when she refers to we, it was me and Lily. By the way, Fed purposely left out the fact that Lily and Yvonne were also there at the hotel with them. Made it seem like it was just Pokey and Fed. And you can see this happened on the 6th. This is the 9th. They were there for like a week. So you can see here it's referencing that she's good to stay in the other room if he needs privacy to bring someone back to his room. You sure I really want to give you the freedom to do what you want? Again, not wanting to get in the way of him bringing back other girls. It's no worries. We have 2 beds at the other room, her and Lily. Beg me to stay with you. Cringe joke. Yeah, if you're really close friends with somebody, you can, like, she clarifies as a joke. Came off as a little bit flirty and like it was like, oh, beg me to come to your room and fuck you. But yeah, it was like, in this context, now that we know, it seems like this is way more of just like a silly, cringy like joke between 2 really close friends. So yeah. Then we have the Jody thing. This is the Jody thing. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, a little later on, after that, there were some screenshots that made it seem like Pokey was being kind of a bitch and really like possessive of Fed, even though they were supposed to not be in a relationship anymore. As it turns out, this was not the case at fucking all. So here's the full context. Also, let me know how your date with Jody goes. Smirk, smirk, smirk. Geez, this year has been unreal for you, sad face. Yeah, not going on any date with her, lol. Oh, stop. You'd be down if she was in town, smiley face. Just let me know how it goes. I like the stories. Sad faces. Okay, sure, we'll let you know. I like the honesty. No, but for real, not remotely interested in her. In all honesty, me, Leslie, and Yvonne talked about this. I feel hella exploited, and when we all hang out in let's say Minecraft, she ignores Leslie and all the other girls. Big yikes, question marks? That doesn't sound normal. Isn't she really close with Leslie? You can really tell she's just trying to push the Fody, their ship, like their people ship Fed and Jody, Fody thing. So like for money. And according to Leslie, not no note, not more, lots of bad drama. What? So like what kind of drama? Then like kind of, I guess, blanks it out for the sake of like privacy for Jody. Aw, then some more blanked out stuff. Maybe she's just not the most considerate person, but also you saying shit like, let's talk about going on a date if that's not really how you feel is a bit hypocritical because of people that pushes the Fody thing. Then with the Minecraft stuff, Leslie refuses to play with her now. We all think trying to push the Fody thing for views, and it's so obvious that we're all hanging out and she's memeing, and everyone else feels hella left out. Yeah, but I guess long term it'll show that they aren't friends anymore. Wow, my brain boomed. It's pretty bad. Had a group call with don't know who about it all. Must protect my friend's feelings. I think I'm forgetting other stuff she did too. What time is your thing today, by the way? 4 to 6, believe, and I feel ya. I would never have guessed. So basically what's happening here is Fed is ranting to Pokey about how Jody is a bitch who's just using him and their ship for views. Doesn't actually give a shit about him, isn't actually into him. He feels super exploited and just cares about the views and the drama stop acknowledging Vosh is live. And just trying to like get views out of it. And he feels exploited. That's what he's venting about to Pokey here. So obviously, if your friend is ranting to you about how you feel exploited by this girl, then you're not going to like them very much. And let's be honest, this gives a lot more context to this screenshot. Actually, hold on really quick. This was all Fed showed in his original screenshot of this, trying to make Pokey seem possessive. This is all that he showed, and it made Pokey seem really bad. But Pokey included the whole screenshot, so we'll read that in a second. I don't know. I can't stand people obviously acting more drunk than they are, or saying fake pity shit to chat. Makes me gag. Anyways, that's my vent for the day. Love you. Have a good stream, lol. Sorry for the spam while you're streaming, lols. Lol. Cutie faces. I legit turned in for not even 3 minutes, and she spoke about you twice. I was like, gotta go, bye. Sounds like she's being a possessive bitch about Fed. In reality, haha, please continue, I love it. And now knowing the context of what Fed had previously told Pokey about this girl, it does really look bad for Fed's credibility. Also, why would he leave this out of the original screenshot? Why would he leave this out of the original screenshot? It's not a good look, Fed. Why'd you leave this out? Made it seem like you weren't really too, like, you know, you were trying to move on and she was being possessive. No. And here's proof that the messages happened the same day. Jody on stream right now talking about you. Also, let me know how your date with Jody goes. So even here, this happened on the same day. The messages where Fed was ranting about Jody being like possessive, or Jody being like into her, being like just pushing it for money. And these messages from Pokey continuing the conversation, saying that she gagged, saying that Jody was like pushing the Fody thing, and like talking about how, oh, they're totally in a relationship. They happen on the same day, just later in the day. She was literally just reciprocating the trash talking that Fed was doing. Because it seemed like, to Pokey, because of what Fed said, that Fedmyster here was being used. All right. That's a ban. Ban Nesmain. We'll say one day Vosh. Sorry. I told you all to shut the fuck up about it. You guys just want to tank my viewership. You guys unironically just want to tank my fucking viewership. Do you want me to just end stream whenever Vosh goes live? Fucking stop. Anyway. This is a very familiar pattern for Fed and I, and many other friends spoke about it. It's something I specifically called him out for in my first stream and directly to him at the intervention. He would spread doubt and rumors, egging people on to think negatively of each other and dividing people up. I don't know if this was intentional, and it kept others apart and Fed as their main confidant. Here's a live stream fails clip that explains...
Come to our house.
So this is Leslie talking about how Fed would come to their house and badmouth people like Pokimane and other people at Offline TV.
Come to our house all the time, always in a bad mood, and it was always because it was like, oh, Fed's over. Stuff with Poki or OTV is like not good right now. Like that was it. He would run away. He would run away constantly, and then while he's there, he's like just spreading bad vibes about OTV, which would slowly start to push us away from them. I'd start to have these really negative thoughts about Poki. Like I really thought like, wow, like she's driving him crazy, poor guy. Like, man, like, you know, I had all these negative thoughts about her, and I apologized to her directly about like not talking to her in the moment, instead just believing everything Fed was saying, because at the moment Fed is my close friend, you know? And so he and so if you're wondering why a lot of this stuff had to be aired publicly,
thanks, Slate. Thanks, babe.
It's because that was the only way we'd see Fed change, because we had tried to address things publicly, and instantly with the intervention, he went running to all the people who weren't at the intervention,
just ban
victimizing himself.
Just ban Connor.
Come to our house all the time, always in a bad mood, and it was always because it was like, oh, Fed's over. So
yeah. So, so this is literally a testimony from one of the Offline TV members that Fed would rant to and vent to about how he was constantly shit-talking OTV members, particularly Pokimane, and making them hate Pokimane, which is exactly what Poki's accusation was. Wait, is this... Oh, yeah. And then also Jody even made a document. If you guys want to check that out, Jody made a document recalling this as well. Going over it. Substantiating Pokimane's accusations. And that's basically the end of the doc. Doesn't cover everything. It could be a little bit better. But it absolves Poki of all the bad shit, most of the bad shit that Fed accused her of. She did lead him on a little bit. There's no doubt about that. But leading someone on doesn't make you a bad person. But Fed sexually harassed multiple girls, then made a petty-ass document in which he lied about Pokimane. I mean, that's pretty substantiated here. He literally clipped out. It was literally the most egregious clip chimp I've ever seen with this, leaving this little bit out. Left out a shit ton of context about why Poki said certain things that she said, and left out context of what was going on in certain screenshots. Left out the fact that Poki was obviously referring to the fact that Yvonne and Lily were there, and that Poki was pushing for him to be able to have the hotel room to himself if he wanted to go out and fuck around with other girls. Yeah. But Fed then made a response document. That's pretty fucking long, but it seems to be mostly screenshots. So I haven't read this one at all yet. Boy, let's get right into it. Intro. If you haven't read my last statement regarding all this, please do. I want to start off by addressing comments from my friends and other individuals about how they believe I leaked the document myself. This is profoundly false. The individual that went behind my back and leaked my private document to the public made a statement himself, which further corroborates that it was against my wishes. Bullshit. Fed wouldn't have been sharing the document around if it wasn't against his shit. All right, let's see these. Anyway, update me so you can. Holy fuck, I actually can't believe you did that, by the way. Dude, I'm sorry, I did it for you. You had no right. Nah, okay, so this seems like... Yeah, so these are pretty recent. Yeah, these are from the 10th, which is before the document leaked. So it does seem like Fed wanted the guy to get the fuck rid of the document and not share it around. That's fine. Has nothing to do with the main drama. And so I made disclaimer, don't expect any nuclear document that'll expose anyone and start more silly drama. That was never the goal or purpose from the very start. As you'll come to read and understand, my original document was for my own therapy and never intended to be for the public. I want to first mention that I was very careful with who I shared the document with. I came to trust one of the more dedicated members of my community, just as I had in the past with many of the people I come close friends with, and even some of the, this is just about who you shared it with. After the leak, Poki and I had both agreed to do joint statements, hers in the form of a stream and mine as a document, where we would both own up and acknowledge our differences and perspectives and then move on. Poki wasn't happy with the way the public received her first stream, and as a result, she spent the last few days conjuring up a document of her own. After reading it, she cherry-picks screenshots and admits, or attempts, to distract the readers from the larger issue I was trying to portray. I'm going to be discussing everything she brought up here. I have never once tried to deny any accusations made to me by Yvonne or Lily. True. It's very important. The reactionaries will never talk about this. Fed will not, and he should not deny any of the accusations made by Yvonne and Lily. He did sexually harass him, and he does need to get help to better himself, make it so he doesn't do that kind of shit anymore. But reactionaries have been taking advantage of this since day fucking one. Since when the fucking document was first leaked, or before the document was leaked, try to say Fed didn't do anything wrong. As Poki likes to remind everyone over and over why this is all happening to begin with, I would like to remind her that this was absolutely nothing to do with that at all. What this does have to do with is the misinformation that is thrown at me by her and her alone. As I said in my most recent statement, I have come to a better understanding of her and why she said some things that she'd said or did, and that being said, I still, however, strongly disagree with her careless betrayal of me in front of a million people. Me working with offline TV. She firstly includes texts that I complain about Yvonne's unwillingness to work with me. I never tried to hide this fact and even directly mentioned it in my original leaked document. I personally never brought up the idea that Yvonne should get kicked from offline TV ever. What I did do is bring up my concerns to people in the house. We all talked extensively about our options and what we can do to motivate her and fix what we currently have to save moving out as a last resort, but still remain in her position as management. I naively thought my relationship with... Okay, I guess that cuts out. Here are the texts that she includes in her statement. Goes to Yvonne's room. So yeah, there's the text. Yeah, so acknowledging that there's a problem. You're kind of backpedaling on your earlier leading on take. What earlier leading on take? From the one with the original Fed document? Of course. When new evidence comes out, guys, when new evidence comes out supporting the idea that she didn't lead him on, then yeah, Pokey kind of led him on. Okay, so here's the problem. All right, hold on. There are two types of leading on, okay? There's the actively, consciously leading someone on because, and you know you're never going to have a relationship with them and you're just doing it because you want to manipulate the person and get attention for it. And there's the subconsciously leading someone on where through certain cues and signals, you kind of feel like you're giving them a chance and like they still have an opportunity to get with you. But like you're still like doing things like what Pokey did, pushing for him to talk with other girls, pushing for him to have privacy so we can bring other girls back to the hotel room. This seems like way more of a subconsciously not really realizing what she's doing, leading someone on. It didn't seem like what she was doing was trying to keep Fed on the back burner to try to like manipulate him for attention. That doesn't seem like it was actually happening there. Whew, God, my throat just fucking like died. It seems way more like what was happening here was a massive miscommunication. This seems like it was like fucking young people in their 20s not understanding how relationships work and just not having very good communication. My purpose of bringing up this information was to mention that in no ways was I trying to get Yvonne fired because of the incident between us, the way Pokey framed it in her original statement/stream, and this 100% had to do with her lack of excitement and willingness to help with offline TV projects, and that it was the only reason she's in the house. And if you read my original leaked statement, you'd know that this wasn't surprising me because of how Pokey would privately portray her to me, and she used to work for her as well. She continues to show more text proving that I did in fact bring up my concerns to people in the house, which again I never denied. The incident between me and Yvonne was in December 2018, and these showcase texts that take place during October of 2019 along with Yvonne, and I talked about it and I naively thought we put it all behind us. Again, the whole reason I brought this up to begin with was an attempt to showcase that I had zero interest in firing her over what happened between us. I brought up concerns to the house because I was 100% focused on making OTV more successful, and then once she started helping out more, those concerns were no longer relevant to me. She then brings up these texts again. Yo, what are you doing right now? Hi, yo. Okay, so this is the original text. I think you should be doing what you're doing. If I were cooking a manner and context, talent is meant to be your priority. I am more so bothered Yvonne hasn't stepped up more. Things could be a bit better, and the OTV is no longer her priority when I really thought, yeah, no, this doesn't debunk anything Pokey said. So if Fed would constantly talk about Yvonne not keeping up with her tasks for obvious reasons, considering what Fed had done to her, and repeatedly, by the way, and this was a problem. There's literally no harm in talking about how there's a problem with Yvonne not doing her job. The problem is the fact that you did what you did and then weren't acknowledging that the reason why Yvonne wasn't keeping up with her tasks, not wanting to be around you and completing her duties, is because she wasn't comfortable being around Fed. What Pokey said was a while later, to the point of where OTV was dying because of quarantine and certain tasks not getting done. And this is context that Fed purposefully left out. Fed, you can't backpedal after not leaving in the context of you actually doing quite a bit of talking with other people behind the scenes about how Yvonne wasn't doing her job because of what you did, and then try to make it look like Pokey was the one. That was the purpose of the text. Guys, I'm not fucking stupid, okay? I know how people think. The purpose of including the text the way that Fed did was to make it look like Pokey was the one pushing for Yvonne to be fired, not Fed, okay? If we're being completely honest here, they were all kind of pushing for Yvonne to be fired because she wasn't doing her job. But Fed was pushing for Yvonne to be fired because I don't think he wanted to take responsibility for what he'd done to Yvonne. That's how it plays off to me. When I really thought about it, like, why did we hire Amanda? I see. When Yvonne is supposed to be Amanda, but in the house, these are the original screenshots. I don't remember the exact context. These are the original ones. Yeah, we've already seen these. So I think we need to get together and make some solid decisions as a group, or else the decisions will force themselves onto us down the road. For example, if we get someone to help manage, what happens to Yvonne? Isn't that a weird thought? Yeah, this is literally just her being like, work isn't being done right now. This literally doesn't contradict anything Pokey said. This is literally her talking about how work isn't being done right now. If Yvonne doesn't do her job, someone's going to have to take her place to do the job. Oh, nice, says Magician Pog. This isn't bad for Pokey. And it's not really bad for Toast. They're both doing the same thing, basically. Only Toast is the reason that Yvonne, or seems to be the reason Yvonne's not doing her job. Poki's justification for this was that she was worried OTV being left on the back burner and that we had a history of hiring core employees that later became content creators. To me, these claims are valid, but yeah, even he's not denying that. But I showed these in the first place because I wanted to, A, show that she was actually the one pushing the idea of her being fired. No, everybody was pushing the idea of her being fired. She acknowledged that everybody at the meeting talked about that. If Yvonne's not doing her job, then it's not that she would be fired, but she would be replaced. B, that at one point I defended her because from my understanding, I thought she was doing a good job and also getting streams in too, which I thought we were cool with, which largely contradicts that I was trying to get her fired because of the incident between us. That's not at all what that does. I could have easily agreed with her and helped her carry out the Let's Get Yvonne Fired campaign. That's not what was happening. But I really didn't think there were any problems at the time. I was extremely careless for her to say, that's literally not true. That's literally just not true, dude. The screenshot, we looked at the screenshots. You were literally the one bringing up the Poki that Yvonne's not getting her job done. You can't claim that you didn't think there was any problem at the time. Everybody, I don't deny that everybody, Poki, everybody in OTV except for Yvonne was acknowledging that Yvonne wasn't getting her task done and probably needed to get fired or at least replaced or needed to get whipped into shape, right? The thing is, none of them knew what Fed had done to Yvonne. Showing to the fact that what she claims to be proof or admission of guilt about the Steve situation after a tremendous amount of therapy and reflection, I want to quickly go over the state of mind thoroughly by confusing friendship with Poki. Although I didn't challenge her on things, I was never my intention to admit guilt on any front. It was never his intention to admit guilt on any front? Are you serious, dude? Fed. Load. Fed. Janet literally told Poki that you admitted that you lied to Steve. Lied, quote, a lot. Initially, with Steve, because I felt like I breached her privacy. In that moment, I didn't feel I was lying because it was common for us to say, let's be friends, and then totally act another way, and then relapse. I thought throughout this incident that we were just in the cycle of all that, so I didn't feel like I was lying to him. This is possibly true. I'll give him this one. If you're being like Poki might not have felt like she was leading him on, but from his perspective, if he felt like he was being led on, and this has been like a repeated thing where there's like a cycle where they were off and on again, he might have felt like this was just an off thing and they would soon be back on again. So he was like, okay, yeah, there was something going on. But that doesn't really change the fact, even if I'm charitable to you there, apparently you admitted to Janet that you lied a lot. He said he lied a lot. Maybe Janet's lying. It's possible Janet was lying to Poki here. That's possible. It's definitely possible, but I mean here, this screenshot, these messages were not made back when the document was leaked. These were made 6 months ago. Janet told Poki that Fed had lied a lot about the Steve situation back in, when would that have been? June? Yeah, back in June when the drama happened. The original drama, the big Fed Me Too thing happened. As the psychology of it all, I didn't bother to challenge her when she confronted me about Steve because I always dreaded fighting / arguing with her because I felt she had a lot of power in whatever we had and I cared her too much, and that most of what she said I would tend to agree with to avoid conflict, even until the bitter end. And I know this was one of my issues, the fear and confrontation. This seems fine. Like, yeah, he probably was simping for Poki pretty hard. The fear of confrontation, I would have talked about things more, but at that time and in the moment, it was much easier to me to just say whatever, I'm sorry, than to have an argument over how we're leading each other on. I would assume many people can relate to this. What I've learned throughout this is that oftentimes the hardest conversation you're the one worth having. He's basically conceding here. This feels like a concession to me here. In the original document, he makes it seem like Poki was hardcore leading him on and off, like she was being like possessive and all that shit, when that's clearly not what was happening here. This feels like a concession to me. The fear of confrontation, yeah, he's conceding here. This kind of mentality would continue even though she did her initial stream 5 months ago, and she would have asked, if you can find And leaving Josh, Steve. There's nothing important here. This is just a concession. To elaborate, it felt like an argument I was in no position to have because A, I wasn't mentally equipped to have it, and B, I knew she wouldn't buy my sudden change of opinion. I apologize, this is hard to follow, but this issue is something I'm much more aware of now, and I'm still trying to learn from and understand it better. Oh, this comes off as so spineless because he's like waving in the wind because he's both trying to concede the shit that he knows he has no argument against because Pokey included the additional screenshots and context, while also saying, yeah, but I said this before, I'm really bad at confrontation, and maybe she didn't feel like she was leading me on, blah blah blah, when the original document really made it look like, and the screenshots were edited in a way to make it seem like Pokey was being like a bitch who was leading him on. Even in my conversation with Janet, I felt that I was still heavily influenced by Pokey. I believe whatever claims she made against me. It was a very stressful time. It was much easier to just accept whatever claim against me and move on rather than argue at any stage and point. Okay, so you got a hotel, but I can still stay in yours. But also I can stay in mine because, if you don't respond, then I'm going to go to mine. She very clearly says, but I can stay in yours. To me, this meant she was open to staying with me, and the girls would get Pokey's room because during this time, I would sleep over hers often. This is damage control from Fed right here. He purposely left out the fact that, for one, Pokey was, as we saw before, pretty hardcore, saying like, oh yeah, I'll stay in my room. You want to bring girls back to your place? Fucking do it. You go ahead and do it. Yeah, do it. So this is him trying to like say, oh, but what if there was something going on? Like, yeah, no shit. She led you on. No one's denying it. She led you on. I don't think she did it consciously and maliciously, but like looking at it objectively now with all the context of what was going on, to somebody who isn't in Fed's position, who's like blinded by infatuation, it's pretty clear here that Pokey was like, yeah, I can stay in your room. Probably if they to fuck around or something. I mean, who knows? From Pokey's perspective, it seems like it was an on and off friends with benefit kind of thing. Or I can just stay in my room and you can like bring a girl back or whatever. And she like went pretty hard, saying like, oh yeah, just like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Like 3 times. To me, this meant she was open to staying with me and the girls would get, yeah, this makes sense. I was totally getting the impression that we were going to sleep in the same room via these texts. What ended up happening was that they all stayed in mine, but Pokey and I ended up sharing a bed. But she's careful not to include that in her response. Is that relevant? Did anything happen between you? If you and Pokey shared a bed and something happened between you, that's relevant. If not, and you all stayed in the same room together, that's irrelevant. Xander Hall, him trying to argue against the Yvonne shit was the worst thing he could do. I don't think he did argue. Yeah, it's pretty clear. Oh, you mean like the fired thing? Yeah, they were all pushing for like, oh, thank you, babe. Thank you. Can't wait to eat this pizza. It's going to be so fucking good, chat. Oh, I'm horny for that pizza. So excited for that pizza. Cummy copter. You sure I really want to give you the freedom to do what you want? Smileys, it's no worries. Yeah, she is asking to stay with me alone. Totally explaining my feelings for her because she knows I want her to stay with me. This is clearly a joke. There was never a text asking me to stay with them if they could stay with me. Or there was never a text asking me to stay with them or if they could stay with me. Then why did they all end up staying in your room, Fed? Yeah, no, nobody's claiming that. Wait, she later in her statement tries to imply that my sleepovers with her and other people in the house had the same tone, when in reality, the ones with others weren't romantic, the ones with her were. She never claimed that they weren't romantic. She literally talked about how you would sleep in the same bed as everybody else. Also, by the way, if you were going into Yvonne and Lily's beds and like massaging Lily when you later, like days later, said to her that you had feelings for her and that it was like a romantic thing, and then of course like sexually harassing Yvonne, then no. I would argue that maybe those were in a bit more of a romantic as a stretch context. Yeah, no, this is damage control, dude. This is hardcore damage control. You want to hang out? So you're fine, tired, okay, just want to chill in, same bed, want to sleep over. Okay, fine, you can hurry up and cuddle you. A little far from done. Okay, just let me know, yeet. you really weren't joking. Just finish the CD. Can I come in? Yeet. Finish her League Legends game so I can sleep over time. Yeah. Wait, why is he just showing screenshots talking about, like, having sleepovers and them flirting? No one is... Literally nobody is arguing against the idea that there was, like, them going back and forth and that there was some leading on that happened and some weird, like, flirtatiousness happening. Tried to debunk a singular screenshot by explicitly avoiding the context to it. She tries to frame this in a way that makes it seem like I personally withheld proper context, but a lot of facts still remain. She continues to ignore the second sleepover DM from December 12, 2018. Further enforced sleepovers a regular thing, which was an entire argument, as detailed in the image. She literally never argued against the fact that you guys had sleepovers and were, like, flirty. She literally said, yeah, we went back and forth. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second, Intellectual Cat. Yeah, we went back and forth. We were on and off. I didn't think I was leading him on since I, like, pushed him to talk to other girls, which he even did in the screenshots Fed showed as well, saying, I think you should date other people. Like, it was pretty clear that she was like, hey, you can date other people. Maybe we can screw around a little bit, still cuddle, stuff like that. Kind of like a friends with benefits type thing is kind of the vibe that I got from it. That's not what she argued. She never argued that nothing was happening between them after a certain point, but that it was like a relationship wasn't in the cards, right? Here, do I have any non-virgins in chat? Sometimes you can engage in sexual activity, even up to the point of, like, cuddling someone without being in a relationship. This is a thing that can happen, okay? This is a thing that can happen. It's fairly common, actually, like in the streaming world, I think, because a lot of people know each other and popular people, typically good-looking. It happens, okay? Any non-virgins know what I'm talking about? You don't have to be in a relationship to have sleepovers where you cuddle and even to fuck, okay? That's totally a thing. Pokey never denied the idea that they were still kind of being a little flirtatious and, you know, screwing around a little bit, cuddling, sleeping in the same bed. That's totally a thing that happens. I don't know, maybe like the virgin gamer bros don't know that, so they think that, oh, sleepovers equal relationship. Maybe that's the case. I guess that's just what zero pussy does to a motherfucker, I suppose. Jody. I really want to see what's happening with the Jody shit, because this one was bad. Fed, you really fucked up leaving out. Fed really fucked up leaving out this last part here. Oh boy, I want to see what his justification is for leaving out him egging her on in the context of shit talking Jody and about how he felt exploited about the relationship. I want to see how he's going to try to cope for that one. If you're out that Keem fans don't know those types of things, lol. Yeah, Keemstar fans are 12-year-olds and like 16, at max 16-year-olds generally. I have a girlfriend whose wife is fine with her having one-night stands once or twice a month. Yeah, it's a thing. Jody. Before I get into anything, I'd like to apologize to Jody for painting her to Amon in such a poor light. So conceding. My close friend is ignoring me from other Strandcraft streams. When I was told this, was very fired up and felt isolated. Possibly overexplaining my attention was real. Without really thinking about the validity of such claims, I shared gossip between me and Pokey. I do want to give more context, explain the process while writing this document back in August. Bullshit. You were when Pokimane was speaking so negatively about Yvonne, you literally said, please go on, and you were the one who initiated the venting to Pokimane about her, dude. You literally, this is such a cope. He's coping so hard. Why'd you exclude this from the original document? I'm really curious for this, guys. Guys, I want you all to think about this for a second. Why would Fed have excluded the text that Pokey included from his original document, and just include the ones where it looks like Pokey is shit-talking Jody and making it seem like she's being possessive, when in reality, what Pokey said had literally happened right after Fed was just ranting about her, saying that it was actually just just like him feeling like he was exploited. Like, holy shit, dude. Cat, my moo goes through. You can't even read these. She's so sweet. Haha, what are you doing? Not sure. Is this between him and Jody? Okay, honey, eating and chilling. I have some requesterinos. Yes, dear. If you see Dark Prescott, please. Okay, so this is literally just like, wait, Why are you showing messages of her saying, okay, honey, and yes, dear? No one's denying that you guys had some stuff going on, that you were like off and off or off and on, flirty, fucking around. And now the texts in question are, it's pretty bad. Had a group call with blank blank about it all. Must protect my friend's feelings. So what I think he's trying to point out here is that he had a group call with some people that felt like, so what he's trying to claim that absolves him of shit talking Jody to Pokey. Hold on. Let's okay, I have to do paint here. We have to do paint. So this is, and I think this could be plausible, though it says nothing about Pokey whatsoever. This is what Fed's claiming happened. Friends of Jody called Fed claiming she was ignoring them and pushing the Fody thing for views. Okay. Then what seems to have happened next is that Fed vented to Pokey about how he felt he was being exploited for views. We know this because the conversation started with Pokey saying, "How's your date with Jody going to go? I hope it goes well. Keep me updated." Clearly not only incentivizing the date, but clearly demonstrating she's not talked about this before and she doesn't know about how Fed feels about it and seems pretty supportive of it even. And then what happened? Pokey takes Fed's word for it and acts disgusted when she pushes the Fody thing on stream, believing or thinking, I guess, it's fake and for money. So this is the line of events that I'm getting now. And this has stopped being like dunk documents now. This is literally just them trying to defend themselves against like each other's defenses, right? So let's like look at the original line of what happened, okay? The original line of what happened was like what Fed's initial claim was that nothing happened. It's just Pokey messaged Fed out of the blue saying, "Oh, fuck Jody. She's being, she's talking like about you in a romantic way. That's disgusting," making it look like Pokey was being possessive. Pokey responds, showing that what actually happened was Fed vented to Pokey about how he felt he was being exploited for views, and Pokey reciprocated that sentiment because, her friend is telling her that he feels exploited in like a fake relationship for money and views, and that's why she responded the way that she did. We know that because she showed the timestamps and responded shortly after. And now Fed's arguing that actually, no, he wasn't doing this maliciously because friends of Jody called Fed claiming that she was ignoring them and pushing the Fody thing for views. So he was told this, so he felt like that. So then he vented to Pokey about how he felt he was being exploited for views. And then Pokey acted disgusted when when she pushed the Fody thing on stream, thinking it's fake and for money because of what Fed told her. So this literally doesn't harm Pokey in any way. Holy shit. This is fucking wild. It's like a roller coaster. Fed, Jody on stream. Screenshot from the original document from the previous text. Oh, I want to see how he explains leaving out that last part here. From the previous text, we know me and Pokey were having occasional sleepovers in mid-December. These above texts were in January on stream. Pokey jokingly trying to set up a date. Pokey was on stream and later texted me, "Let me know how your date with Jody goes." Now that we have the additional context, that I feel like she's still keeping me interested with her. You were led on, dude. We understand. push her when I try and tease or test me like she was in the past to make me feel like when she's bad-mouthing the other girls in front of me and to some extent being possessive. That was my original argument. Yeah, so I can understand if from Fed's perspective he felt like he was being led on. Like I said, being led on is essentially, it's the person being led on who describes whether or not they're leading a person on. But if they felt led on, then they're probably being led on. But if you're going to morally impugn someone for leading them on, it needs to be a active, purposefully being led on thing. It seems like from everything I'm seeing here with a lot more context now, looking back at these DMs, it seems way more like Pokey was like, yeah, we can screw around, but I'm not down for like a relationship. And I'm not down to go public with a relationship or anything like that. Like, we're just keeping this like, casual. But Fed wasn't in for something casual. Fed was in it to be serious. Fed wanted a relationship. So that's why he felt led on, even though, because we saw that Pokey was like constantly pushed, like saying, how's your date with Jody going? Are you sure you don't want to bring other girls back to the hotel room? Even in the original document, we see her saying like, oh, do you want to like see other people? Like, she did unironically push pretty hard for them to see other people. Like, it really does seem like, it really does seem like she just wanted an on and off kind of like, friends with benefits type thing, whether it goes as far as like fucking or just like cuddles and sleepovers for the sake of like feeling intimate, how it is. I was initially therapy for friends. So he's conceding here, being possessive because she has a history of teasing / testing me with other girls, regardless of what I said about Jody earlier. This wasn't teasing and testing. This was her saying, you can fuck around with other girls. What we're doing is just casual. I'm not looking for a relationship. Ultimately, I don't think he had a context from her charges. From her changes much because we were still in a weird spot based on how we're talking to each other. And when she texted that to me, I felt that she was being somewhat possessive by teasing me about dating Jody and then talking about her the way she did to me in the texts. You could have gotten that impression, but I feel like that's an unfair interpretation from an objective standpoint, considering that she was literally just parroting the shit you said about Jody to you. Pokey likes to point out the time she told me she wanted to just be friends. This happened a few times. I would eventually accept this and start to see and meet other girls, hang out with them outside of OTV, and then inevitably always return to her grasp when she'd show me signs of hope. Looking back now, we definitely could have been more honest, aware about our behavior of each other. That could have prevented a lot of eternal conflict between us. This was just clearly a case of misunderstanding each other's motivations. Pokey's motivation was clearly, I just want to be friends with benefits. Like, we were friends. We're not in a relationship, but we can fuck around and cuddle and be sappy and cute with each other. But I'm not looking for a relationship, okay? That's not what I'm looking for. I want to see other people. I want you to see other people, but I'd like to be able to fuck around on the side. It's clearly what Pokey wanted, but what Fed wanted was an actual, legitimate relationship between the two of them, where they were serious and exclusive. And it seems like anytime Pokey was like, yeah, we can fuck around, but I don't want to be in a relationship, he saw that as like her giving him like a hope that they can be in a relationship. That seems to be what happened here. This is literally just 22, 23-year-olds not knowing how to communicate their feelings to each other. That's all that this is. Conclusion. In closing, I want to once and for all end all this. Both of us keep digging into messy private DMs, and the whole point was to show it wasn't as black and white as Pokey originally showed it. No, Fed, you left out so much context in the original document, dude. Not only that, but Destiny even said that he'd heard from like friends of yours and like people in the industry that you were cooking up like a killer hit piece on Pokey. That's not what you were doing. This wasn't just to absolve yourself. This was high key. The original document was high key meant to be a hit piece on Pokey. That was absolutely what that was meant to be. That was absolutely what that was meant to be. And that's how I interpreted it. Because it made Pokey look really bad. And you excluded a lot of important context. And now this document, like, hold on, do we have the meme? Hold on, I want to see something. Hold on, I want to see the meme. Yeah, this is what we have here, okay? This is the dichotomy that we're looking at here. This is Fed's original document towards Pokey. This is Fed's new document that we're reading now towards Pokey, okay? Like, Pokey led me on. She lied about me wanting to get Yvonne fired from offline TV. She actually wanted to get Yvonne fired. And also, because she was leading me on, she lied about me saying that we were in a relationship with that guy. Well, actually, you see, from her point of view, I imagine maybe what she did wasn't that bad, and she actually didn't think she was leading me on. And, maybe, I may have cropped some things and left out some important context, but I don't really think that matters. The document was never really meant to attack Pokimane. That's the impression that I'm getting here. I'm getting, like, that's the impression here. That's what I'm getting from this. That's like the massive vibe I'm getting from this. Again, I've never disputed claims of Yvonne and Lily. I've crossed boundaries. Yeah, this is the thing I think we all need to really focus on, by the way. Again, I never disputed any claims made by Yvonne or Lily. I know I crossed boundaries and disappointed a lot of people, but, well, you didn't just cross boundaries, you sexually harassed and disappoint a lot of people, but know that I'm working every day to become the best possible version of myself. I never had any intentions of being this public, and I very much regret that it was leaked. I want to move on and start a new chapter in my life, and then just some sappy dumb shit. A lot of this were concessions. This was basically just a concession document while trying to leave himself. This was the most face-saving document I've ever seen. This wasn't a going on the attack document. This document was him realizing he's lost in his like weird fucking feud that he's gone on and trying to get out of this drama looking as good as possible. Though I honestly think he's come out of this drama looking worse than he did back when the only drama was that he had like molested Lily and Yvonne. That seems to be how we're coming out of this. That really seems to be what's going on coming out of it. Also, I'd like to point out, he says cross boundaries here. Now, he hasn't denied what he's done, but it feels like he's softening the language here a bit. I'm going to show a tweet from Yvonne, the woman who he definitely like did the worst stuff to when it came to the sexual harassment stuff. She tweeted something about it. I actually liked the tweet. Can I look at my profile, tweets and replies? Can I look at my likes? Maybe it's my likes. Fuck, it's a tweet from Yvonne. Shit. This is where I want to leave it off on, because it's actually a pretty, I feel like it's a pretty prescient tweet. November 27th, that's going back a little bit too far. Could it be in her tweets and replies, maybe? I think so. I can't find it. Does anyone know what it is? Basically, if anyone can find it, I'd appreciate it. I liked it earlier on Twitter. I wish I'd retweeted it because then I could just find it on my account. That's what I need to start doing. Anytime something prescient to stuff like this happens, I'm just going to retweet it from now on, just so I have like the thing saved. But Yvonne actually tweeted, it might have been on her alt. Yo, here it is. This is where it is. It's her alt account. Yeah, cross boundaries definitely sounds way better than sexually harassed. True! True! This is obviously a reference to Fed saying he crossed boundaries. What he did was sexual harassment. Guys, okay? Let me make a dichotomy for you, or a distinction for you here, okay? Walking down the street and seeing a girl that you talk to every day, and like when you walk by, you kind of like maybe touch her leg or her butt or something like that because you feel like you're at that level, but you're not really at that level. And then she's like, don't do that, or she's clearly uncomfortable, and you stop. You're like, okay, that's crossing boundaries, okay? That is crossing boundaries. Repeatedly doing something sexual, repeatedly crossing boundaries and doing these things is sexual harassment. What makes it harassment is the repetitive nature of it, okay? And that's what Fed did. What Fed did was a repetitive action. He didn't realize what he did wrong and say, oh, sorry, not doing it again. And nothing happened again. He did this repeatedly with Lily as well. So a little bit of a softening of language there, a little PC there, Fed, but you know how it is. But I do need to acknowledge something here at the end before I wrap up anything. I made a video called Fedmyster exposes Pokimane after Me Too allegations and reactionaries rejoice. And most of the video was talking about the document, how Pokimane seems like a pretty big piece of shit from the document. That's the impression I think most people got from that document, even everybody in my chat, basically. And I did focus a bit on how reactionaries were reacting to it, trying to, quartering, going incel over it. Fucking Keemstar trying to excuse what Fed did to Yvonne and Lily. But I feel like I really did go way too hard on Pokimane. And this needs to be acknowledged, okay? I'd be an irresponsible content creator if I didn't acknowledge what I said in this video. Poki didn't do everything right, but she's not nearly as bad as it's made out to be. Pokimane was literally, in the long run, a 22 or 23, I don't remember exactly how old, year old woman who is flirting around with someone who is 24 years old, young adults who don't know how to communicate. This resulted in sort of some miscommunications that led to what felt like the Fed being led on, but what felt like the Poki offers to just have like an on and off sort of friends with benefits thing. And on top of that, there was a mutual problem. Everyone on OTV was acknowledging that was involving Yvonne not doing what she was supposed to do. And for people like Poki and for other people in offline TV, this is a problem because the work needed to be done. But for Fed, he was responsible, it seems, for Yvonne not getting her work done because he had sexually harassed her. And overall, it seems like Poki is not nearly as bad of a person, not anywhere close to as bad of a person as that original document made her out to be. So I imagine, naturally, because anytime a dude defends a woman on the internet, you get called a simp, that I will be called a simp by the reactionary types for this. It's going to happen. People on like Bo Black's and Augie's stream, Nicholas Diorio, Keemstar, all those people are going to call me a simp for this. I will happily debate all of you. If Nick Diorio wants to stop being a pussy and actually speak up whenever I go on Augie's stream and he's in there, I would happily like to debate him on this. Bo Black's arguably has been the least problematic of all of them. Unironically, Bo Black's, from my knowledge, I don't think has made any claims about. Yeah, I don't recall a single time where Bo Black's has tried to lessen the impact of what Fed did to Yvonne and Lily. And he also went after Pokimane for having transphobic mods in her server. This is also some drama that happened. Poki did clear it up, and Blow Blacks even said, "Okay, I'm glad you're acknowledging this. It's cool." After she acknowledged it, but here, Bo Blacks transphobic. Let's see, where is it? I can't find it. It's somewhere. It was pretty good. Yeah, it's like the Thanos line. Perhaps I treated you too harshly, but you'll have to take my word for it. Bo Black seems to be probably like the least shitty when it comes to the drama community here. But overall, I'm interested in talking to all of them next time I go on that podcast because something's got to get cleared up, okay? Something's definitely got to get cleared up. Also, cool, my girlfriend posted a pretty hot picture on Twitter. You guys got to go simp, okay? You guys all have to go simp. It inflates my ego knowing that I have such a hot girlfriend. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. Make sure to subscribe if you are new and want to see more from me. Ring the bell icon, too, because that's the only way you get notified when I go live or upload a video. And, of course, you can join my Discord or follow me on Twitter through the link in the description. Always love new followers there. Also, if you have any money sitting around, you don't need it for anything else, please do, in fact, toss some money over if you don't need it for anything else. It's always appreciated. You can sub on Patreon, become a member on the channel by clicking the join button, and you can even come over to the website, xanderhall.com/live, and you can also donate or sub here. But you don't have to if you're not capable of it, so it's just appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya!